The growing chorus of politicians and Obama administration officials today publicly slamming the online whistleblower website WikiLeaks over its release of 250,000 State Department documents. In fact, the New York Republican Congressman Peter King is now calling for the United States to designate WikiLeaks as a terrorist organization. And Connecticut Independent Senator Joe Lieberman said, "Let there be no doubt the individuals responsible are going to have blood on their hands." But did WikiLeaks and its founder, this man, Julian Assange, really break any laws? With us now, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. What about it?
Well, there's two sides to this. One side is that whenever you reveal things that the government wants to keep secret, you expose the government's ways and harm the government's means and may harm individuals. In this particular case, it was more embarrassment than harm. This is a catalog of blunders and a catalog of diplomats speaking very candidly and differently than they speak in public.
Well, that's because they were sending cables back to the home base.
Correct.
Cables they didn't think would ever be public.
Precisely. Precisely. I mean, the king of Saudi Arabia was here last week to have back surgery. We learned that he wants to attack Iran. We also learned that some of his very wealthy friends in Saudi Arabia are financing al-Qaeda. This is embarrassing and potentially criminal. No one's going after them. As far as Congressman King wanting to designate WikiLeaks as a terrorist organization, Congressman King voted for the Terrorist Protection Act, which defines terrorism as a group of two or more people who commit two or more acts of violence. This is a news media outlet that digitally drops documents. Now, here's the law. If somebody steals a secret document, that person is a thief who has committed a crime. But if they give that document to a media organization, whether it's WikiLeaks or the New York Times or Fox News, that media organization is free to publish it, to discuss it, to analyze it, and reveal it without any criminal activity at all. So Congressman King's target should not be WikiLeaks. It should be the people in the Defense Department who allowed this to be stolen and whoever stole it, him or herself.
I'm sure they certainly didn't want it to be stolen or anything like that. But I mean,
well, they didn't do much to protect it.
No, they certainly didn't do enough because it's out there. But think about who it is that is alleged, according to the State Department and others, to have done this. A young man who calls himself Brad Ass 87, a private first class, somehow got all of these cables, I mean hundreds of thousands of things that have changed the course of events. And they're mad at the organization. WikiLeaks is a terrorist organization. What now? Come on.
I understand the view of those who would like to believe that the government always tells the truth. And the government is always doing the right thing.
Wow.
My own view is it's better for mature people to know the truth and understand it. Are we bombing Yemen but claiming that Yemen is bombing its own country?
Yes. With Yemen's help.
Correct.
Yemen is pretending, we're pretending, we've all known it forever, and now it's on now it's on a document.
Correct.
Like this is new.
So is it better for the public, a mature public, and better for the government, for the public to know what's going on? Truthfully, in my view, yes, it is.
One of the things that clearly these WikiLeaks folks, it's not just Julian Assange, but he's part of it, they want us to think about this war that we're conducting in Afghanistan and look at the facts of this war and consider whether this is the right thing for our country. And if that's their goal, it would appear that maybe on some level that's been accomplished.
The president really should welcome a debate on the war.
Well, he's one of the ones who said he wanted to ratchet this thing down before he ratcheted it up.
Correct. He did. But he needs to understand what happened to the Russians. They met an ignominious defeat in Afghanistan. What happened to the British? They met
Who
an
could not
ignominious
understand
defeat
this? I mean, what president of the United States, what congressman, who could not understand that is the graveyard of empires?
It is.
The graveyard of empires. I mean, stand by.
Look, you can selectively look at the WikiLeaks stuff. They caught a guy working for a high-ranking person in the Afghan government.
Brad Ass 87 is responsible. Brad Ass 87. Come on.
$57 million in cash.
Oh, that's true. In cash. Carrying. What was that money going to be done? It's
Where
his
did
money.
he get it from? What is the government protecting? What kind of a government are we protecting over there? Are they feeding the drugs over here that we're prosecuting people for selling and distributing here? Who knows? I think the more we know, the better it is for all of us, even the president.
But well, listen to what Secretary Clinton said. Here, listen.
Every country, including the United States, must be able to have candid conversations about the people and nations with whom they deal. Stealing confidential documents and then releasing them without regard for the consequences does not serve the public good and it is not the way to engage in a healthy debate.
So, and her point is, I would assume her point is well taken with you. But I guess one of the things that you're trying to say is if you have these communications country to country and you put them in a position where they can be stolen, then
Right.
shame on you.
I would agree with half of what she said. Stealing is the crime,
Yeah.
and that should be punished aggressively. And the people who failed to preserve the documents should be punished. But if it's newsworthy, you'd be crazy to sit on it.
There's more to come, I guess, here. It's not as if this is the end of it. How Bradass 87 got a hold of all this stuff is beyond me, but I guess it's
He
still
normally would not qualify for the level of security that would give him access to this, which tells me there are others involved besides this fellow with the unique email name.
Yeah. Private First Class, who's in jail at the moment, and probably will sit there for a while. Judge Napolitano, good to see you.
Pleasure, Shep.
Happy Monday after.
Same to you.
Tryptophan gone?
Say again?
Tryptophan from the turkey, has it worn off?
Yes, it has.
You'll be able to see Judge Napolitano tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock in Oxford on the Fox Business Network. That's Freedom Watch, weeknights at 8, 7 Central on Fox Business.
Well, new developments now on our top story today. Less than an hour ago, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton vowing to take action against those responsible for stealing thousands of classified documents and then leaking them.
To the American people and to our friends and partners, I want you to know that we are taking aggressive steps to hold responsible those who stole this information. I have directed that specific actions be taken at the State Department, in addition to new security safeguards at the Department of Defense and elsewhere to protect State Department information so that this kind of breach cannot and does not ever happen again.
KT McFarland is a Fox News national security analyst, and Michael Farkas is a former active duty JAG officer, Judge Advocate General, who served in Gitmo. All right, panel, so I want to talk about what the impact of these leaks is and what's going to happen to the leakers, what can happen to the leakers. Let me start with you, KT, because your overall impression of the damage done by this leak.
Now, look, what these documents revealed, it's a problem. Maybe it's embarrassing and all the rest. The problem
but it's not huge, you say.
It's not huge.
Okay.
But the huge problem is going to be nobody's going to trust us going forward. Foreign leaders, are they going to sit down and tell us what they're really thinking? Or are they going to say, no way I'm going to trust America. It's going to be on the front page of the New York Times. But more importantly, foreign intelligence agencies will not cooperate with us. They're going to worry that their sources and methods will be blown if they talk to us because we can't keep a secret.
How do we get past that? Because, you know, according to the reports, this guy Bradley Manning, who was behind, you know, at least part of these leaks,
right.
Maybe there were others. According to the reports, there was a chat log of a conversation he had with a fellow hacker where he said, look, it was pretty easy. I'd come in with a music CD labeled like Lady Gaga. I'd erase the music. I'd write a compressed split file. No one suspected a thing. I would listen and lip sync to Lady Gaga's telephone while exfiltrating possibly the largest data spillage in American history. Now, this is according to online reports that he allegedly was bragging about how easy it was.
And a couple million people had access to that database. I mean, that's just stunning.
How do you stop that, KT?
You've got to do it really aggressively and understand that this is not just some dissatisfied guy who's a hacker. Hackers are terrorists. This is cyber warfare. Understand it. First of all, go figure out how to fix all the leaks. When I was in government, you'd know exactly who had access to which documents. Not a million people. This guy should be tried. Manning should be tried for treason. Execute him if he's found guilty. Julian Assange, try him for espionage. Shut down WikiLeaks. But get a presidential order to shut that down today. If you can't get a presidential order or the president won't sign it, go to Iceland, which hosts WikiLeaks. Tell them, shut it down or else our relations are going to be damaged. Go to every other country that says we're going to host it, and you say our relations are going to be damaged. You shut this stuff down because this not only threatens American national security, it threatens global order because no country will cooperate.
Those are strong words.
This is warfare.
But okay, so that's the military perspective. Legally, can we do any of that?
Really, the question of whether we can do it should be secondary to whether we should do it and whether we should do it now. I believe ultimately we can do it, but even if there are gray areas, even if there are questions as to what can be done, what can be prosecuted, what ultimately can succeed in court, Senator Lindsey Graham said it best. If we can prosecute them, let's try.
Well, what about, okay, so let's start with treason against PFC Bradley Manning. Why isn't he facing treason charges?
treason is a notoriously difficult charge to bring.
Vague, but
It's a very vague charge. It seems that he's being charged with a pretty serious offense as it is. And I don't really want to speculate why he isn't, although many treason prosecutions in the past haven't gone very far.
Part of it may be that there are more documents to come. We've seen the dump from the Defense Department
Right.
and military agencies. This is a dump from the State Department. What's next? Is there something from the intelligence community? We know that there's more stuff to come. Presumably, if they try him immediately for treason and say death penalty, he's not going to cooperate.
All right, but what
Maybe
about
what we should do is
so
find
what
what
about
are we
Julian
getting from-
Assange? He's not cooperating with anybody. Well, that's
No.
not, that doesn't even appear to be on the table.
Although, you know,
so
something-
espionage, but espionage is defined in loosely, okay, because it's a long statute. Somebody who transmits an unauthorized document relating to the national defense with reason to believe it could be used to the injury of the United States or to the advantage of any foreign nation. Hello?
That's
Don't we
easy.
have Assange on that?
He needs to be indicted, and he needs to be prosecuted. There are many arguments as to why ultimately that prosecution may not succeed, but the message needs to be sent now and immediately. He needs to be indicted.
By the way, this is just crossing our urgent queue that WikiLeaks has yet to release 15,000 secret Afghanistan documents. There could be more. They said that they've got a ton, so I don't know. But now they're specifically talking about 15,000 secret Afghanistan documents, in addition to the Afghanistan documents that they've already leaked. Go ahead, Mike.
Listen, KT said it best. This is an issue of trust. It's an issue of global order. And unless the President of the United States and the government of the United States moves aggressively to assure others that we are going to prosecute and we're going to nip this in the bud and we're going to be serious about this, that trust is at stake.
Well, how do we shut them down? I mean, you're saying we've got to go to Iceland. I thought it was Australia. But anyway.
He's Australian.
Okay, he's Australian.
But he's hosted in Iceland.
So how do we go to them and say, shut it down?
I don't quite understand the technical parts to it.
But we
apparently
can?
We can do that. We can do it ourselves. We could go to that country and say, stop hosting it.
We can just be threatening, or we can legally force them to shut it down?
Well, I don't want to wait for any legal process. I would go to them and say, Iceland, you know, how's your economy doing? You know, you've just had a lot of problems with a lot of debt in your banks. We can help you with that, or we cannot help you with that. You do not want to have the United States as an enemy. Shut this thing down.
Can they go after Assange, WikiLeaks, you know, Manning, and so on, if it's not top secret information? Because they say it's more secret, it's more lower level, and that the Times and others have redacted the pieces that would compromise the safety of our intelligence analysts.
Yeah, I mean, it's secret, top secret, no foreign. A lot of these documents had no foreign on the top, no foreign distribution. Yeah, you could certainly go after. These are classified documents, and they were leaked. They were leaked with a certain intention. Now, this is so much different than, say, the Pentagon Papers when I was in the White House, and the Pentagon Papers were leaked. This was some people at the time who were against the Vietnam War, thought that they could stop the Vietnam War if they leaked these documents. This is not a bunch of people who are anti-war. This is a bunch of people who want to bring down the system, and you've got to stop it, and as Mike said, nip it in the bud now.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what they do. I mean, she says it's not going to happen again, that they're going to have a strong response, and we'll see what that entails. Thank you so much.